Jai. Jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for today's morning Srimad Bhagavad Gita class. Today's chapter that we are going to discuss is the 18th chapter and verse number 70. The chapter is called The Perfection of Renunciation. Basically, this is a concluding chapter, and in a few more verses, we will be concluding the entire Bhagavad Gita. The 70th verse is this way. Adyeshyate cha imam dharmyam samvadam avayoho jnana yagnena tenaham ishtahashyam iti me matihi. Translation is, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So here Prabhupada has not given any specific verse, any specific purport on this. So we have to speak with whatever we have gathered up to now. From that we may have to speak a few words. So let's try to understand this verse. So this is towards the conclusion of the entire conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and then Arjuna in the previous verses he's saying that this Krishna is talking about this anyone who's actually hearing this and who's able to understand this and is able to explain that, then that person is actually very dear to him. And he's also giving some other instructions. One who's explaining this to the pure devotee, for him devotional service is guaranteed. And he says, who is dear to him, and then the pure devotional service is guaranteed. Then he talks about this particular verse where he is saying, and I declare that he who studies the sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. So there are these categories of people, someone who could actually be studying it and then explaining it to others. That is also there. But there are also others who may not be able to be expertly explain things, but who may study the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Irrespective whichever category it is, one should understand that such a person is worshipping the Supreme Lord by his intelligence. That means one who is trying to understand the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who hears this conversation very scrutinizingly, as Prabhupada used to say. And if you are able to try and understand this sincerely, then he is actually worshipping the Lord by his intelligence. So now what is this intelligence? So I was trying to think on this, what is the meaning of this intelligence that Krishna is speaking about? Now, Prabhupada, in one of the conversations, or in one of the letters, he had said, please, to his disciples, one of his disciples is writing, please study and discuss about Krishna, for life is but a flash, and the life should be used for understanding Krishna and going back to Godhead. So this is not exactly the words, but these are the three main points that he made in that letter. So if you really see, he says you have to study Krishna, study and discuss amongst yourself Krishna. So the studying of Krishna is clearly there only in Srimad Bhagavatam because it is spoken by Krishna himself. It is not told by someone else who could have misread him, but it is spoken by Krishna himself very elaborately. Some people think, oh, Krishna is so very proud, so he's saying so many things about himself. Oh, I am this, I am that, I am so great. No, that is Krishna does not need our compliments because he is simply stating the fact for our benefit, so that we, having taken birth in this material world and having been here for millions and millions of births, not knowing how to go back to our final destination, he is mercifully coming and telling that, okay, this is the way, you please understand about me, So it's in a way austerity for him to speak about himself, because Krishna does not want to make a big show of himself, because uh, he does not have this craving like us human beings who want to show I am so great, I can, I am in control of everything. Krishna does not have such cravings at all. In fact, that is why, all his all his, if you see all people who are very close to him, they are very simple people, right? He does not want to move in that kind of crowd which is a show off. He wants to be among simple friends and want people not to understand or not to uh, appreciate his greatness, but he wants people to relate to him for what he is as a person. So this is very, very uh, very important. So now, in another verse, if you see, okay, then he says, Krishna, Prabhupada says, right, that we have a very short life. Life is but a flash. Now, in that time, what are we supposed to achieve? That is something that we need to try and understand. Yeah, there are so many literatures available. There are so many different philosophies available. If you have to go deeply into everything and try to understand, and then make your conclusions and say, okay, this is what I feel is the spiritual life. This is what I think we need to do. That is actually not going to be possible at all. So Krishna, therefore, in very simple, in 700 verses, he is actually given this Bhagavad Gita. Now, those who are intelligent, there is in the 7th chapter, if I remember right, in the 7th chapter, in one of the verses, Krishna is saying, I'll just quickly pick it up. Yeah. 2 verses, I will just pick this up. He's saying, in the 2nd verse of 7th chapter, he is saying, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge. Underline this word, in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to be known. So this is a very, very important verse. He's saying, whatever you need to know, everything I am explaining to you. And he's saying this in the 7th chapter, right? So that means maybe you can take it that the most important thing is going to come from here on, not even from the 1st to 6th, from the 7th chapter. You can take it that way also. But he's saying, I will give it to you in such a small summary that once you know this, there is nothing more to be known beyond. That is intelligence. That means if we are able to dedicate our life to understand this one Bhagavad Gita properly, and that word is properly, there has been many times Prabhupada has said, actually, if you take in one of Bhagavatam verses, he was saying, no, if you have to try and understand one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it may take anywhere between 6 months. Just one verse, not the English or the Sanskrit of it. That everybody can read. Today everyone is educated. Everybody can read, but not everybody will be able to really read. Yeah, you can read superficially, but do I really understand what is being read? That is actually study, right? It's not simply reading. Whether if you don't understand what is the point of it, it's only just like we may do so many other things. It's not a skill of reading, but understanding is a different thing. Therefore, the point made is whatever is needed to be known is available in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and if we are having that intelligence, then we will just stick to this Bhagavad Gita and try to know this, and Krishna is saying, nobody, not even Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is saying, I will, this being known, nothing further shall remain for you to be known. Then that is the conviction, that is intelligence. That if I really scrutinizingly study Srimad Bhagavad Gita, I am fully confident there is nothing else that I need to know. Yeah, there could be so many higher science, so-called science. Here is saying, right, I am both phenomenal and numinous, which means in the purport Prabhupada is writing, complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it. So you can say, okay, I need to research into this phenomenal world of material things also. But even that, what is supposed to be known is given here. There is nothing beyond. If you know that, then everything else automatically is known. Like that Prabhupada says. Just like, if you buy a machine and if you don't know how to use that machine, you are worried because if you wrongly use it, it will fail and it may cost you lakhs of rupees to buy that machine. But if you know the creator of that machine, like if you know the engineer who made that machine, all you need to do is dial that friend of yours and say, hey, how do I use this thing? Yeah, please tell me. He will say, you do this. Then that's it. Then you are completely in comfort. Not that you need to know all the science behind how that machine works. If you know how that the person who made that machine, then everything is known to you in that way that you don't have to personally have to break your head to understand that. So like that, if you know Krishna, everything, he says, right, everything emanates from me. Bhagavatam starts with that. Janma Dasya Yataha. Everything emanates from that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you know that Supreme Personality of Godhead, by studying this scripture, which he says, I am telling about myself, and there's nothing much more to be known. If you are able to study this so scrutinizingly and have that conviction that this knowledge is enough for me beyond anything to just serve the purpose of this life. That kind of clarity, if you are able to come to, then we can go back to Godhead. And again, the point that is being mentioned, how do you study this, right? That is the other point there. So in the 4th chapter, it is very clearly said, you surrender onto a realized person and serve him, and he will impart this knowledge to you. So the process is not simply being what you call the erudite person who has got the skill of knowledge, but of skill of language or expertise in language. It is about the intelligence to be able to understand how I should be getting this knowledge, because that is also revealed only by Krishna. So simply surrender to a realized person and he will impart that knowledge by which you can come to me. That he is saying. And elsewhere he is saying that also in one sense true, but it is another way. How does he execute that? When I surrender to that pure devotee of that Lord, and when I understand from him, ultimately Krishna says, I sitting in your heart will reveal that knowledge to you. So that is the other intelligent science behind it. That the process is I surrender onto that realized person, and then he will impart that knowledge. And Krishna sitting inside my heart, because he is the Adi Guru, right? So he is the Adi Guru, and he will reveal the ultimate secret. So therefore, you will see many times, many acharyas give a lot of commentaries which are not there in the scriptures. Then how do they know this? How do they say? You can ask them, so what is the authority? Show me reference. Like, if you say Ramayana, if you take, there is this, we all know the Ramayana was written by, the one version or the main version has been written by Valmiki. But that doesn't mean there are other versions, like in Tamil Nadu, there's a Kamba Ramayana version, and there is also some in northern India, there are a couple more versions. And you can say, oh, these things are not there in Valmiki Ramayana, therefore they are not true. That is not how it is, because there is in Kamba Ramayana, if you see, he had said some things which people refuted. No, how do you say this is wrong? Then he was actually in Srirangam, there is one Narsimhadev. Actually, in front of him, there is one kind of, what do you call, a mantap. So he was sitting there and explaining there, and then people were saying, no, this is not authorized. Whatever you are saying is not true. So this Kambar was actually praying to the Lord, oh Lord, this is what is my revelation, your revelation to me, and I have written this, but then, these people are not accepting. Then immediately the Narsimhadev, who was opposite him, he actually lifted his hand, that deity who lifted his hand and said, this is correct. So like this, now where did he get that from? It was not written by Valmiki, so that if you take as the source document, then where did he get it? So this is revealed by the Lord from the heart, and he can reveal it to many people, that we cannot question. So this is what is important. Intelligence means trying to understand what the Lord is saying, not by searching so many other things, but simply by taking Srimad Bhagavad Gita and following the process the Lord is given, which is actually surrendering onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his authorized disciples. And the Lord will reveal this knowledge from inside and into our heart. And it's a very simple process. And Prabhupada is saying, life is but a flash. Don't waste it. Quickly take up this devotional life. And in the entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Charanam Ham Tvam Sarva Papabhyam Mokshayami. So this is very important. So all of us need to simply come to this point of wanting to understand Srimad Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly. Of course, once we understand Bhagavad Gita, then our parampara has given a very simple formula. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Nothing else is needed. Of course, Bhagavad Gita, if you know, you're already there. The other one is to relish further that taste, right? Once you know Bhagavad Gita, then okay, I want to relish more. Then Bhagavatam is there and Chaitanya Charitamrita is there. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given whatever we need to know. And from there, we can build on more love for him by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I will end here. If there are any questions, any comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. If there are some seniors, they want to correct me on something, please. Thank you very much.